You bruise if you barely brush your arm against a doorframe. Your feet go cold before anyone else's in the room. Or perhaps a relative recently experienced a clot, and suddenly you are hyper-aware of your own circulation. You want to protect your blood vessels, but when you search for options online, you are flooded with bold claims about a natural blood thinner that supposedly dissolves clots, lowers blood pressure, and cleans out your arteries without a prescription. The compound being hyped is nattokinase. It sounds almost too good to be true, but it raises a critical question. Is nattokinase actually a natural blood thinner? Does it work like prescription medications such as aspirin or Eliquis? And what does the peer-reviewed clinical research actually show when we strip away the marketing noise? To understand how nattokinase works, we first have to look at how your body handles blood clotting. As we age, our vascular system undergoes subtle shifts. Blood vessels naturally lose some of their elasticity, and low-grade systemic inflammation can alter how efficiently our blood flows. When your body needs to stop bleeding, say, from a tiny micro-injury inside a vessel, it triggers a complex cascade. Platelets clump together, and your liver produces a mesh-like protein called fibrin. That breakdown process is called fibrinolysis, and it's driven by enzymes like plasmin. Nattokinase is an enzyme first isolated in the 1980s by a Japanese researcher studying natto, a traditional fermented soybean dish. What he found was that this enzyme could directly break down fibrin and could also boost the activity of your body's own clot-dissolving machinery, nudging your natural fibrinolysis system into higher gear. However, as we get older or experience chronic metabolic stress, our natural ability to clear fibrin can slow down, making that balance between forming clots and dissolving clots harder for the body to maintain. This brings us to nattokinase. Despite its name, nattokinase is not a pharmaceutical drug. It is an enzyme, specifically a serine protease, extracted from natto, a traditional Japanese food made by fermenting soybeans with the bacterium Bacillus subtilis natto. Now, here is the technical distinction that almost every wellness website gets wrong. Nattokinase is technically not a blood thinner. Prescription blood thinners generally fall into two categories. Antiplatelet drugs stop blood cells from sticking together, while anticoagulants block specific clotting factors in the liver to prevent a clot from forming in the first place. Nattokinase does neither of these. Instead, nattokinase is classified as a fibrinolytic enzyme. It does not prevent a clot from starting. Rather, it works by directly cleaving and breaking down that fibrin meshwork. Think of an anticoagulant as a barrier that prevents a web from being spun, while nattokinase acts like microscopic scissors that trim down excess webbing that is already formed. So, what happens when human beings actually take nattokinase? In a 2009 clinical trial published in the journal Nutrition Research, researchers studied participants taking 4,000 fibrinolytic units of nattokinase daily. The researchers observed statistically significant drops in plasma fibrinogen as well as clotting factors 7 and 8. This confirmed in human subjects that oral nattokinase can survive digestion, enter the bloodstream, and actively assist in breaking down circulating clotting precursors. So, does that translate into something that actually helps your heart? A systematic review and meta-analysis pooled 6 randomized trials and 546 participants. It confirmed a consistent blood pressure benefit across the pooled data. But here's the honest part. It did not find a consistent benefit for cholesterol at the doses most people are actually taking. So the strongest, most repeated finding in the nattokinase research is specifically about blood pressure, not a general good for your heart in every way effect. Now here's the study that generates the most excitement online, and the one you need the full context on. A large trial of over 1,000 participants with existing atherosclerosis found that a high dose of nattokinase, 10,800 fibrinolytic units a day, was associated with measurable shrinkage of arterial plaque. That's a genuinely striking result. But the same study found that the standard commercial dose most bottles on the market actually contain, around 3,600 units, did not produce that same effect. So, if a product doesn't specify its dose clearly or sits well below that studied amount, it likely isn't delivering what made headlines. And the question that matters most, does taking it actually prevent heart attacks or strokes? Here, I have to be straightforward with you. We don't have that answer yet. A 3-year randomized trial of 265 older adults called the Nattokinase atherothrombotic prevention study tracked artery thickness and stiffness using ultrasound. After 3 years, there was no significant difference between the nattokinase group and the placebo group. That doesn't mean nattokinase does nothing. It means the specific hard outcomes cardiologists care most about. Actual prevention of heart attacks and strokes over the long term haven't been demonstrated in a large trial yet. This brings us to the most crucial aspect of the research: medical safety. Because nattokinase actively alters fibrin and clotting pathways, combining it with other blood-altering therapies carries genuine risk. If you take prescription blood thinners like warfarin, aspirin, Plavix, or Eliquis, adding nattokinase creates a compounding effect that significantly raises your risk of internal bleeding, severe bruising, or hemorrhagic complications. Furthermore, because of its enzyme action, nattokinase must be stopped at least 2 full weeks prior to any scheduled surgery or dental procedure to prevent excessive bleeding. It is also worth noting that while traditional fermented natto food contains high amounts of vitamin K2, purified nattokinase supplements usually filter vitamin K2 out so it won't interfere with clotting medications, but checking the label is essential. If you and your doctor determine that nattokinase is appropriate for your vascular health, clinical trials generally utilize 2,000 to 4,000 fibrinolytic units, or FU, per day. Always ensure the product measures potency in FU rather than just weight in milligrams, as enzymatic activity is what determines the biological effect. Remember that no enzyme replaces daily aerobic movement, proper hydration, and a nutrient-dense diet for maintaining healthy blood vessels. To wrap up what the research tells us, nattokinase is a fibrinolytic enzyme rather than a standard blood thinner. Human trials show modest, reproducible reductions in blood pressure and clotting markers, but it carries serious safety considerations when combined with blood-thinning medications. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Never alter your prescription medications without consulting your primary care physician. If today's breakdown made you curious about how gut health directly influences vascular inflammation and blood pressure, if today's honesty about dosing surprised you, that one will too. I'll see you there.